Of course, it's going to be divisive. I mean, it's going to probably be protests and riots and that
Thank you.
crowd. I mean, it's going to be
Mass
a,
hysteria.
yeah, mass hysteria. But here's the thing. Are you going to not do something that's just and right or justified because some people don't like it? No, you still got to do the right thing.
You start off why, right? With all these options and choices.
Me, I'm looking for substance. So if you can't come with a substance level of conversation, I have no interest.
Okay.
You black man taking a liking to how my lifestyle is living and how I'm going, man. You being intrigued, man. That's very humbling for me, man.
So, George, what does reparations without a fantasy check mean? Can you explain that?
All right. Well, there have been oft recent discussions about reparations, and I was thinking of what I was hearing, which was a bunch of noise, and I wanted to try to take the time and try to come up with something that I think would be feasible if reparations were to ever be seriously discussed. And I think that people are sitting around thinking you're gonna get a cash app from Uncle Sam for reparations. I don't think they're gonna disperse cash funds. They may, but it won't be to the degree and to the scope that a lot of people think it would be. So I sat down, I wrote up six little proposals, things I would enact that could serve as reparative, that don't involve a paper check, that even if it gets to the point where we do get a paper check, we'll need to have add-ons to that provision if it becomes possible. Now, I'm not advocating either way. I'm just looking at this analytically, that we could put in that will help most of the black race. So the thing about it that I thought about first was, well, who's going to get it? Here's my eligibility, y'all. You can get mad if you want to. This is what I
Okay,
think.
hold on.
Uh-huh.
Let me ask you something though.
Mhm.
Why? Because a lot of people are going to have this question before we get into this, man, and a lot of people have. Why does it have to be structured with us? And why can't it just be the cash payout? Because we talked about an estimated at the minimum, which I thought it was a very low ball number,
Right.
$14 trillion, with the U.S. bringing in close to $200 trillion, if not more.
Because in the endeavor of being realistic, I just don't see that happening. And here's the thing: even if we were to make that happen, we would still need things like these and other policies to attach to that bill to make sure that we're fully covered. So this is not even necessarily acting as a replacement for financial reparations. It may be acting as an addendum for any proper or future potential legislation.
Okay, well said. Well said. So, okay, I'll let you take the floor right now, and I will have some questions for you, and then I will also propose my very limited uh, thought process when it comes to reparations, because my idea is a little bit different from yours. So, go ahead,
Uh,
shoot your shot, man.
All right, thank you, sir. So it would be called the American Freedom Act. It would be something along those lines, and it's kind of how it be laid out. It's not. I'm not a legislator or anything like that, so I'm just laying it out, layman style. The first thing would be to determine eligibility. Of course, you all know if reparations do become possible, everybody named Mama with a nap in their hair is gonna come screaming, "I'm black." So this is strict, but this is what it is. Both parents have to be black.
Okay. So,
Period.
is this something like how uh, white people and black people and different people from around the world will say that they have Native American in them, so
Right,
they
right. Just to avoid
okay.
all that. Both parents just black American. We not doing I'm sorry about racial. We can't get in all that because otherwise we'll have no money and nobody getting anything.
Okay, so biracial people are out of this? How so?
Here's what okay, if you have a black parent, you qualify. If
Okay.
you but if you start saying you part this and three-quarter that and you know how people do, especially some of us, then no, we can't we ain't got time to pay ancestry to run all y'all stuff. Even though there will
Okay.
have to even though there I do think a mechanism to maybe genetically test people could be possible, but that would mean making the rules totally different. By then you would be going more so by percentages and that would be a mess in itself. But as far as the reparations package, the first one. would be black business development ownership. You know, provide startup grants, low interest loans, targeted tax relief, regulatory assistance, contracting opportunities. Make them put basically what I would think was put things, and some of these programs may already be in effect. Those that are
Okay.
already,
Okay.
yeah, those that have similar programs, I think we should use a reparative package to bolster those and fortify those and re-examine those and help target those resources in those communities where the disparity is most apparent. So if I mention something that may be redundant here, then just take that and take that bill, take that money, and take those that resource allocation to make that department stronger and focus it where it can do the most good. But
Okay.
the first one would be black business development and ownership. You know, that would be important to provide an infrastructure and some kind of foundation for us to make that even kill.
Mm-hmm.
Second one would be federal student debt forgiveness. Forgive student loans. That goes for whether you go to an academic institution or trade school. Forgive everybody student loans. Get that out the way. Help them free up some of their debt so they can do more things. Because oftentimes, especially with us, our student loans is that one thing on our credit that may prevent us from getting that job or prevent us to fight for finding a home. So there
And I
would be
can
some.
see,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I was going to say, I could see that being a huge drawback for this because there is so much student loan debt throughout the country. I think
Right.
if one group of people got their student loans relieved across the board, I think that would create a massive outcry with people. I mean, we'd be even more hated than we
Right.
are right now. But continue,
But
please.
the thing, anything they give us is gonna cause it. If they give us a cookie and a half eaten Lunchable, somebody gonna be mad. So why worry about it? You know what I'm
Who?
saying? Because I'm thinking about my people on this. I ain't thinking about how other folks feel. You know, so
Okay.
it's a. But the third would be temporary federal income tax release.
Mm,
Tax relief. You know, eliminated federal income tax liability for qualifying descendants. You know, it allow working families to redirect those funds and other things and keep their money. And it's similar
So
to
when
what
you
they've
say
done.
tax liability, I'm sorry to keep cutting you off, but it's so interesting. When you say remove the tax liability, do you mean no income tax, no homeowner tax, no purchasing tax? What do you mean?
I think the best bet. I don't think you can get down to the minutia of property tax elimination on that. But I think as far as income tax, yes, yes.
For
I
how
think
long?
make it generational or make it for a certain amount of years. Make it
Okay.
for 10 years and include that in the package this way it's not finite. I mean, it is finite because these things can't run on forever, and a lot of people gonna think they are and they're not. You know, I see maybe if you institute some of these policies, maybe you got 10 years out of them. Most of them, the ones you can make perpetual, yeah, you do that. But fourth would be land, housing, and property acquisition. Uh, you know, help more on down payment grants.
Mm,
Allow more lenders to enter the market. That's one thing Trump did do that was beneficial. He broke up a lot of the cabals of these real estate holding companies that were making it difficult for people to buy homes. So do more
right.
things
He's
like that. Do more things
yeah.
to encourage rental properties, things like that, and that would be a reparative move. Uh,
Okay.
Number five would be and this is me because I'm a mental health advocate. Y'all know I've been running Med Association for 8 years, mental health nonprofit. I've been down through it. I want to see
Okay.
something for Black male mental health and restorative initiative, something to help Black men, helps curb the suicide rate among our Black men because it's really gone the past couple of years. I have a close experience with this. You know, we need to do things to promote fatherhood, promote mental health, suicide prevention, mentorship, housing assistance, employment support, all those things, untreated trauma to help Black men specifically. Because if we want to be the head of the household, then we need to be in a position where we are able to do so. So I think that should be a big part of reparations. If I were ever to be involved in a campaign to make that possible, that would be the leg that I stand on. And number
Okay.
six, reentry and anti-recidivism reform because we're disproportionately affected by the criminal justice system. We cannot release people back
Okay.
into society without resources, without mental health care, without ways to fortify themselves and earn a living, and think that we gonna have not gonna have a crime problem. And this
Mm-hmm.
also provoke stops recidivism because there's an 88 to 85% recidivism rate over 10 years for those to get out of prison. So I think that would prevent things. And a couple alternates would be a black family fortification plan, marriage preparation, fatherhood courses, things and tax benefits that benefit the holding together of the black family.
Okay.
Education, field trade investment. I would like to see a program where, in addition to 4-year traditional college, we can have a 2-and-2 program, maybe partner with community colleges and trade schools, so that our people do have an advantage as far as having a trade and having a degree, because I feel that's going to be more important. And also, it's going to be the neighborhood and infrastructure development. Let's get our communities built back up. Let's get rid of the broken lights, the things, the trash. And if you have a better looking community, even a beautified community,
Mm-hmm.
it's not purely superficial. It leads to the spirit of the community and the spirit of the people that live in it. And as far as the funding principle, the thing with that, it would, for it to be really feasible, it would almost have to be in a way that is as non-punitive to the taxpayers as possible, because the first thing you
That's
have
what
to
I'm thinking.
yeah. So the funding options could, be redirected funds, could be corporate
Mm-hmm.
enforcement revenue, stock buyback assessments, financial
Mm-hmm.
sector, mechanisms. So try to find ways other than putting that tax burden on the people to pay for it as much as possible.
Yeah, well, we could probably take at least 3 years off of helping Israel and sending funding over to Pakistan and all these other countries,
Right,
and I think we would be just fine on the
right,
tax burden, to be honest. The sad truth of it.
right, right. Maybe there's some part of the tariffs could go to. You never know.
Hmm.
So, you know,
Um, I get it. I get it. So, I mean, the bill sounds great. It sounds like it's something that, would be feasible, maybe not all in one part, but maybe over the course of a couple years. But many people are already going to argue, hey, George, we've already done this. We've been, especially on the white side, they're going to say, we've been doing this. Well, it's funny. It's always synonymous with the government when you say you're white. Okay. We've been doing this for y'all since slavery ended. Why should we have to do it again? Can you explain to those good people why we need a comprehensive reparations package like yours?
because we need to do it in a way that no longer gives us crumbs. It's time to give us a loaf. And I don't mean give us, I mean make things equitable through tax breaks and things other than a paper check that are going to even the playing field. We tired of crumbs. We tired of having to beg. Do it in one shot. Go ahead and we good.
And you talking about wipe the slate clean.
Not wipe the slate clean, because you never wipe the slate clean for what we went through. You never wipe the slate
Mm.
clean. But I feel like, and I don't necessarily believe we necessarily owe reparations even. I'm just taking a standpoint of if we had to do it. But yeah, if you're gonna do it in a way that's gonna do it. And the reason I propose those things, you got to do it in a way that's gonna build some infrastructure that's gonna make people more self
Mm-hmm.
sufficient. If you just get paper checks and everybody blow it next week, then what we got? We
Well,
didn't.
we got paid,
Yeah, but
which
I mean, what's
jump,
that? But what's
which
that?
I get it. I get it. But and this brings me into my thoughts on reparations. It doesn't matter what we do with the money that you can afford us, that should be afforded to us. If it is a financial sum, or if it's some land, or if it's something to that effect, we have it. Give it to us. You don't ever have to talk about reparations again. We don't ever have to have this painful discussion about how we were wronged in the 300 years that our people had to deal with all of these different unnatural circumstances, these people made dilemmas that
Right.
this country set us forth on. Give us the money. Because I
Right.
mean, even if you divide up a couple $1 trillion amongst black people, look at it in different parts of the world, of the United States right now, California. I even believe in parts of Chicago or Illinois, excuse me. They're
Mhm.
handing out reparations checks for past wrongdoings within that local community, some
Right.
to the sum of $25,000. $25,000 is a great start for a family who wants to invest in a home, a great family that wants to invest in a business. I'm not saying that's all that we would be owed, but it's a start, and at least it is a financial sum. I mean, where else do you get sued and somebody says, you know what, we're not going to give you the settlement that we owe you? What we're going to do, we're going to break this into parts. We're going to make sure you go to college. We're going to make sure that we offer you this. Give me the money. And I think a lot of people will side with that. And I know that the counterparts in this country will not. They'll go crazy and throw shit. But that's what
Right.
I really feel.
Yeah, and the plan and the draft I did is more so kind of middle of the road. I tried to be a little bit more centrist on this, because just the
Mm-hmm.
fact I even approached it, I'd be accused of being a leftist, but that's not what it is. It's in the spirit of practicality and what we can actually accomplish. So I'm a kiss from both sides on
Okay.
this. I already have, but I really don't care. But the thing is, yeah, and as I said earlier, if you can find a way to make it financially, more representative, you can do that. Maybe 25,000
Right.
per person, along with some clauses and some of the things I propose in there would make it a more well-rounded package if it were to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So but the money part would be relatively easy to figure out if you follow the edicts and the standards I set out. But
Right.
I just say this. I'm hoping, if for no other reason, just for full discretion and transparency in this process, that one day we do have a group that will actually seriously discuss reparations in a way that's not filled full of rhetoric and identity politics. I think if we can find a coalition, maybe a bipartisan one, that really want to look at it, at least explore it. Not saying that we get off the ground, but at least seriously
Mm-hmm.
make a concerted effort for the first time. I think it may do something. I think it may gain some traction.
Yeah, I mean, there has been exploratory committees. Usually,
Right.
they're left-sided, left-leaning,
Right.
with a few bipartisan members who will step in and be a part of it. I think, for the most part, just to spy on it and, and pass the
Right.
information back
Exactly. Yeah.
to see how if it's got legs or not. But at the same time, there has been discussions throughout the years about reparations. But here, okay, so you have a very unique perspective on reparations. I have another thought when it comes to reparations, and this is not going to be popular
Listen.
when with our people, possibly. I mean, me, I'm always a forward thinking person. So I'm not necessarily thinking about the benefits for myself. I'm thinking about the benefits for my generations to come.
Right.
I would be, I would 1000% sign, agree, do whatever I had to do if reparations wasn't for our generation. If there was a reparation sum allotted to the children of people who should have possibly got that money, our generation. Say, for instance, okay, let's say we say reparation starts in 2030, okay? The children who are born after 2030, whatever, they will receive a lump sum payment in the sum of, let's say, $80,000, okay? 80,000, 40,000 of those dollars will go into a IRA or an investment fund where
Right.
that child, when they get older, they'll be able to decide what needs to be done with that payment that comes from the 401 or the IRA, okay? And the
Right.
reason why I say that is I think that it might resonate more if we show an investment in our future, because oftentimes we're fighting for the present when it comes to reparations. We're not
Right.
necessarily fighting for our future benefit, which is our children to come. They're malleable, they won't have the same pains and moans and groans that this generation has about reparations and the wrongdoings of slavery. They may actually benefit uh, by the way that these kids these days are more entrenched in each other. I mean, culturally, these kids are doing great. They intermingle, they mix. They don't have a lot of divisive stuff when it comes to racial issues that the previous generations had. I would go for that as a group, because I think that one thing that we have to show is, hey, we don't need the damn money. We'll be fine. It would be great to know that our children who will come will have a nest egg waiting on them, and they can begin to start that reconstruction of what the Black culture should be, of what our community should look like. I think it's a wonderful idea. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I love that. I absolutely love that because I think too, if you live that with some legislative tax breaks and things to get those implemented early, by the time that fund reaches a point of maturity where kids can cash it in, they'll have a better landscape because they'll have some tax advantages. There'll be some things financially and credit wise they won't be burdened with, and that's what you're really going to need to build infrastructure. So I love that. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, to me, it's common sense.
All
Are
right.
we going to argue? Are we arguing so we can have something? Most of us are 30, 40 years old. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hang it up. Hang it up. I would be very pleased to know that my kids could benefit from my ancestors. It
Right.
would leapfrog over these generations of pain and trauma and go right to the children where we needed to go. So, I mean, that's my thoughts on that part of it. Let's talk about impact, okay? And what I mean by impact, the blowback of what it would do to American culture.
Right.
I would like to like maybe think about how would white people in this culture take in American culture? How would they take reparations? I'm sure it'll be in the comments, or if you post this on Facebook, you'll get a ton of that. But what do
Right.
you think off top?
Of course, it's going to be divisive. I mean, it's going to probably be protests and riots and that
Thank you.
crowd. I mean, it's going to
Mass
be
hysteria.
mass hysteria. But here's the thing. Are you going to not do something that's just and right or justified because some people don't like it? No, you still got to do the right thing.
I don't get it. Why? Do you want the truth, or do you want what kind of answer do you want? The truth, of course. Here's the truth. Okay.
You said yourself, like it's more about substance and
Literally, my everyday life when I wake up, the things I go through, the things I do. I'm definitely finna start streaming and giving y'all the rawness, man.
This thing is very real. It's real, but the thing is, people who do this for real.
It seems that we only come together when it's something negative. Let's try to do something positive. I think we need to get back to more of that instead of the reactions of some things.
All y'all come at you and sit your hands down. Let me tell you what's wrong.
They don't think they need it. You begin to start understanding like this is what I like, this is what I want. You start off
You know what I'm saying? So we can't necessarily get hung up in, well, how this group gonna react and how they're gonna
Right.
react to how they're gonna react, no matter what you do. Anything they give us in terms of anything closely even approaching reparations gonna call. They can give us a pack of Vienna sausage and some Ritz crackers, and somebody gonna be mad. They can hold the door open for us, say this is your reparations. They gonna be mad. You know what I'm saying? And they gonna have the
Yeah.
argument that, well, we've been giving you people this. Now y'all been giving y'all people that too. But at the same time, we don't want that. We need something that we can pull ourselves up from, not something that's gonna be dependent, because that's not gonna last.
Right.
Even the biggest tea to run out of milk at some point.
Right.
So
And that's my other fear is that everything that is afforded to us by way of an apology from our government, not white people, let's set that record straight.
right,
Our government, when they want to correct wrongs, they will give us something, but it always comes with a extra linchpin, something to hold us to what the past is. And what I mean by that, for instance, when was it FDR or who gave us the Great Deal, the New Deal, or whatever, and
right.
where
I think it was
we were
Lyndon
afforded
Johnson, maybe.
social. Lyndon
Yeah.
Johnson, thank you. We
Right,
had the social programs and welfare. The welfare state was created and things like that. Sure, black people were given that stepping stool to get out of the situations from the past, but at the same time, it came with the fact that no, your husbands and your significant others have to leave the property, right?
right,
And what did that do for us? It created problems down the line. And I think they were problems that were manufactured. I don't think it was just a negative externality. I mean, and that's the fear with us altogether is that every time we're given something, it comes with a what else do we have to deal with?
right. And that whole degradation of the black family was socially engineered. That's what I believe to a certain degree. I
Mm-hmm.
think they weaponized the black woman a lot of ways against us. And there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing they haven't done when they took us through the Caribbean on the slave trade. When they got there, they stopped, and all the black men that were in the military, they killed them or separated them from their families, and they sent the families home. They've always tried
Yeah.
to attack us. They've always tried to do something against us. And I'm not saying to be paranoid or sound leftist or nothing, but I'd
Mm-hmm.
be naive to act like there are certain things that are not in place, not even necessarily institutionally. But if you deal with things in people's hearts, knowing what you're gonna have to face, you still gonna have to face it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I don't know if certain cultures just like thrive on watching others struggle um, and not being fair, knowing damn well that they have the world at their feet if need be. I've known people who have been white guys who went to prison for 5, 6 years, came out and got a $70,000 job.
Right.
Real story.
Right.
right? That is something that does not happen with African Americans. So I'm not blaming them, but there's a social network already. And I think that's the thing that white people don't get is that, sure, you may be a normal white person who lives in the same neighborhood as a black person, and maybe that neighborhood is not resource enriched, right? But at the
Mhm.
same time, it would take just a little networking for you. For us, it takes a huge magnitude of network. Matter of fact, I know people who are white who don't have degrees, who have
Mhm.
jobs that make more than me, and the job is in the same career field.
Right.
So, I mean, the leg ups are there for them, and I think that sometimes they just have to do a little bit of critical thinking and just think like, is some reason why every time somebody dies in my family, I receive a lump sum of $8,000 or $15,000 or twenty,
Mhm.
$30,000, and it
Right.
and but for them it's like, well, your great great granddad should have did more. Your uncle should have did more. You don't understand the structural, uh, uh, the structural problems that arrived from all of these decades and decades of being wronged by our own government, not
Right.
by white people. White people have to separate themselves from this goddamn idea that they are the government. You're
Right.
not.
I like
You're
that. I
not.
like that. Yeah.
You're not. This country for the most part was founded on corporations. Most of the first four presidents, I believe, owned businesses, and so they had a they had an intention when they came over to this country. Sure, there were people who came over here for religious freedom, but there were wealthy business people who came over here because the incentive of having free land and free labor was just it was like hitting the lottery 10 times over for these people.
Right.
That was their manifest destiny. It means
Right.
something for more people. And I think those people have to look back and see like, okay, when our culture was finding their destinies, what destiny would it be for a slave?
Right.
Right? A
Right.
meal? I mean, yeah. So I'm sorry. I go into these rants.
No, no, no,
It
no.
takes
That's
me
great. I'm
forever.
enjoying it. Go ahead. Yeah. You
Mm-hmm.
got it.
No, no. So I mean, that's just how I feel about it. I think that we all need to take a step back, even us as Black people. Like, are we arguing for reparations for ourselves, or are we arguing for reparations for our future?
Yeah.
White people, are you mad because this generation is getting reparations, or are you mad because are you just mad because you just don't like the fact that if a black person gets something, it makes you feel like you're getting less?
I don't think
I
that's
mean,
what it
and
is. I think honestly what it
that's
is
the
that
feeling.
yeah, that's the feeling. But I think what a lot of it is that certain white people, and I'm not saying all, would feel offended, and some of them would maybe justified because to give reparations would almost be like an admission of guilt from people that had nothing to do with it. And I think that's what a lot of them have a problem with. A lot of them like, I've never discriminated against a black
Okay.
person, but I'm being by giving out reparations, it makes it seem like we all did some shit we had nothing to
Yeah, I
do with.
have five black friends, that type of person.
Right.
You
Well, not
know.
just that, but
Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
person that really grew up with a black person that spent holidays together and been to their mama's funeral with them. There's a lot of relationships like this. So I do say how they may feel away. Of course, it's going to be different from the racists and the people who just use it as a reason to espouse rhetoric. But I do think that's going to
Right.
be an impact as well.
Yeah, it's another one of those. I mean, sooner or later, George, we have to talk about current topics, and I know, but yeah, sooner or later we got to approach the present, but it is amazing to kind of like think about things that honestly, on YouTube and all these different outlets, I never hear shit like this. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And if it's there, it's hidden in the recesses. It's almost, this conversation is almost as missing in the landscape of social media and
Right.
news and documentaries as African history.
Right.
I've taken a deep dive into African history, and I've learned a lot. And I always enjoyed history before the boats arrived.
Right.
And I
Right.
think that's where black strength comes into us, is when we stop thinking about civil rights and slavery off the ship and think about our heritage before that boat ever arrived. And it is plush. it is long as mankind is. I mean, we're what was it? The estimation for human civilization was like, I want to say it was like, they thought it was 35,000 years, and they didn't even think like modern civilization arrived until like 6,000 years ago.
Right.
But at the southern coast of Africa, some guy was digging in a cave on a farmland of his family's, and he found these bones and these structures and these artistic expression remnants that were left behind. And come to find out that Africa's been around for 140. Well, the people of Africa have been around for 140,000 years. So I
Right.
think we have to what we deal with in this country is one thing, and the route that we had to go through is another thing. But I think we need to pray to our ancestors as well and ask them like, how can we keep our lineage going? Because we do owe those people something. I think we need to
Right.
continue to fight. I think we've all. I mean, think about it. We've always been a pulse for this country. Like we had that discussion last week, man. This country would be a barren wasteland of white supremacy if black people were never here and never fought for what was absolutely humane and right.
Right. I
So
could,
I
and
think even
yeah.
go ahead,
On that
brother.
point, I could definitely, and having thought about that conversation since last week, I could definitely see the lack of us in this country would definitely make it more ethnocentristic and more
Mm-hmm.
nationalistic, and yeah, so I can definitely see that. But I think until we as a diaspora can get to the point where we believe in tribal culture instead of tribalism, because the two are not
Mm-hmm.
the same thing. That's where we fall into problems at. So, tribal culture is one thing, tribalism is something else, but tribalism is where a lot of the divisiveness comes in. So we
Right.
got to get away from that.
Man, you keep talking to me, George, man, you're gonna lose that Republican card, man.
Right.
I don't
Well,
know.
the thing is, a lot of people. I
It's coming
always say
good though,
this.
man.
Yeah, I'm not a
Okay.
Republican. I'm a conservative. But a lot of us
Okay.
on the right do feel that way, and a lot of people don't know that. They just judge us and think we're all a certain way. But what I'm
Mm,
saying is a lot more. I would hear a lot more of that in circles of the right, and a lot more tolerance and brotherhood and putting people on than I have from the left. That's just been
mm,
my experience. So but if we can all get to that point, I think reparations could be discussed in a serious way, but I would want it to be bipartisan at the very least, if not tripartisan, include
mm,
libertarians, and it'd be a serious endeavor. I don't want two Republicans and eight Democrats. No, I want it more evenly so we get a full scope of everything.
right.
And as far as the other makeup of it, they'd be interesting, but I don't want these Al Sharptons on it. I don't want these Ben
Mm.
Crumps nowhere near it. I don't want these Rakes Huckster. If you got a YouTube channel, you don't need to be on there. I
I'll
want
take
serious.
Ben. I'm not too fond of Al, but I'll definitely take Ben. He seems to be a very
Nah, he's a
heavy hitter. I mean, say what you say,
nah.
but if it wasn't for him, how will we know about most of these cases? I mean, you need us. You need somebody to spearhead,
Okay, yeah,
even if
no,
even if
I don't.
some of the topics are divisive, even
Right,
if some of the cases are divisive,
but
you
that's
still
not
need
his
someone
line.
to acknowledge them.
No,
Go ahead.
that's not his lane for what I got in mind. That's not his lane. I want
Okay.
legislators. I want proven. I don't want anybody that's outside of government helping to make decisions except for on the advisory level. And I want full transparency on the proceedings on it.
Okay, man. That's well said, man. So, um, I wonder what the viewers think. I mean, I wonder what you all at home who are watching. I wonder what do you think about uh, a reparations package? Do you want it to be comprehensive? Do you want it to be just a financial incentive, such as a couple hundred, well, under 100,000, under 50,000, whatever? Is there something else that you are thinking that Black people could use as a whole that would boost our economic viability, that would boost our educational rates, that would reimagine what our children would have sitting for them in the future, and what would be a direct gift, not from the government and not from a white person or a group of white people? It would come from directly from our ancestors and their hard work. So if you can think about that at home, post it in the comments. I mean, and if you're a white person and you're totally against it, please don't be ignorant. And on either side, don't be ignorant. To explain what you think is wrong about reparations. Don't just get on there with the "you're a dumb libtard." No, I'm not even a liberal person. I'm right down the middle. Okay. So I would appreciate people in the viewer section hopping in and being a part of this conversation. You can hop on here and we can have this debate with me, you, and George and other people on here. I mean, but it is something where we need to raise awareness about, because obviously it's not going away. Obviously, it's on both sides of the aisle. People are consistently thinking about it. And I say that to say, because we would not be going after DEI programs and incentives. We wouldn't be going after museums. We wouldn't be doing all these things right now in this administration to what was the term for it? To let's just say, to make things right and fair, as they said, merit, not color based systems of achievements. So I mean, just think about that. I mean, it's a lot to digest. It's a lot to digest right now. But man, I think me and George are kind of at least being brave enough to take it on as two people with different perspectives. So George, what do you got to say about it, man, to end it?
I think it'd be interesting to hear a concise, targeted, measured, proposal for reparations, because we're all going to have different ideas, and that's going to be too. That's also going to be the longest part of the process. I think is just us agreeing on what reparations are, what they look like, defining them, and things like that. So it's going to be a protracted process. But I love your idea about putting in something in there where it'll benefit the next generation. I think we pretty much kind of missed the boat on it. But I think that's a good idea, and maybe with some of the proposals, the tax programs, the incentives that I've had, if somebody were able to combine those into something feasible and do it the right way, I'm not saying it would ever get passed. I'm not saying we would ever see it, but at least I think it would generate more discussion than what we've been doing has been doing.
Yeah, man, definitely. George, you owe me a little bit of paper and some ink, man. This is a lot to print, okay? Now
Sorry
I'm
about
actually
that.
gonna keep this, man, and look through it. I think we can have some more discussions in the future, maybe off of bits and pieces of this. I know it'll come in handy, man. A lot of the work that you do is very important.
Right.
It at least gives us a different perspective. And the thing that I like about what we do and what you do is that you put this information out and you don't do it like a butthole. You know what I mean? You do it
Yeah.
like a person who is trying to explain something versus just, going against your own race to some degree or going
Right.
against your own culture. It seems as though you're at least explaining your points of view. So I really appreciate the time that we
Well,
spend together on
yeah.
this.
And like I said, the other day I had a white conservative try to come after me, and I quickly put him in his place. I don't pick faces. I mean, if as long as you show me respect, I show you respect. But I don't care if you white, black, Democrat, or you a Democrat, or unicorn, or a Manchichi. If you come to me the wrong way, I will respond, not disrespectfully, but in kind. We don't have to tolerate disrespect from anyone, left, right, black, or white.
Wow, powerful, man. All right, George, man. Next up, man, we got something new coming. George, I appreciate you being on, man. Let's keep it moving, brother. I want you to
Yes,
have a
sir.
wonderful night.
You
And
too.
I'll see you on the next Black Conservative versus Independent, bro.
All right. Stay blessed.
All right, peace, man.
All
Take
right.
care.